getting close to the size of a basketball. The top surgeon in Indianapolis said because this growth now has gotten so large, the possibility of dying in a surgery might be 50-50.
As it grew and grew 3 years ago, we're going to dinner. I couldn't get my leg to the pedal. I have made the decision. We are going to get this removed, and we're going to live our life, or you guys can move on. But we cannot do this.
Everybody, please welcome Roger and Kitty joining us via Skype. So, first of all, Roger, I have to ask you, now that this tumor is gone, how does it feel, my friend?
To say it feels great would be an understatement. The feeling is just, it's just wonderful. I don't have words to explain it. It is freeing. It is very freeing to be able to get yourself in and out of bed now and just do the things I used to do.
Please welcome plastic surgeon and medical director at the Wound Care Center at Bakersfield Memorial Hospital, Dr. Vip Dev joins us. Doctor, thank you so much for being with us. And look, I have to applaud you and your team for undertaking this surgery that a lot of others didn't want to touch. How do you even go about a procedure of this size, or removing a tumor of this size?
Travis, in this particular case, it is basically a cancer operation that we do. You tie off the blood vessels first, as any good surgeon would do, and you identify the blood vessels ahead of time. In plastic surgery, we know that everything is dependent on the blood supply. So we have to know exactly what the blood supply is before we attack it. And that's probably the only way to approach this.
What was it, and how is it possible that something like that can grow to that size?
So it was a collection of hair follicles. As we all know, hair follicles are designed to grow upward and through the skin. We also can have hair follicles that when they hit the skin, grow backwards, creating a blackhead, a zit, any of these things. They can form an abscess, pus, and a lot of times they heal. When he has repeated infections of these, what happens is that we form scar tissue. That scar tissue then has deposits of old hair follicles in it, and then it creates what we call a fibrostromal tumor. Wow. These stromal tumors then become very, very large because they develop their own blood supply. Blood supplies that are often the size of our finger.
Wow.
That's a very large blood vessel that's not part of a limb.
How long did that surgery take?
The procedure itself took less than 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah, because I know people are always amazed by it, but it is, honestly, to sound horribly brutal, it is like doing an amputation. And an amputation well designed doesn't take very long. It's the closure that takes the longest part.
And this has become something, I love how, Drew, you always talk about going to someone who knows exactly what they're doing. And I love how, Dr. Dev, you and your team, this has really become a calling card for you, removing these really large tumors
that nobody else wants to touch.
Right. You know, you're right. No one else wants to touch it because of the simple fact of death. And I think Roger will tell you, as I've told all the other patients, is I tell them one thing: you could die. And all the patients had the same response Roger had to me is, well, my life's not really worth living now. And so they're willing to take that risk. And knock on wood, no one's died.
Well, here's the encouragement, because keep doing what you're doing.
I mean, he summed it up. He himself said, I really didn't have a life going into it, and now it would seem he's getting his life back.
And in fairness, Kitty, before we go, your vows in sickness and in health, you were there for Roger every step of the way. I want to ask you how excited you are for the future.
I'm very excited. I kind of look at things as though our vows and what we think marriage is all about, our faith and the way that we base our marriage on that model of unconditional love. Along the way, we've just had to adapt how we love one another, how we show that to one another, how we spend time together, that kind of thing. But now to look back at all the things that we did in the very beginning of our marriage that we adapted along the way, I'm very excited to get back to those things, to do some of the just simple couple things we used to do.
Well, we're just so happy for the two of you. We thank you for sharing your story. And I know, Roger, a big part of this for you is you want to get back to being healthier. We're going to hook you up with Dr. Stanford Owen. He's the developer of PrescriptFit Medical Nutrition Therapy for personalized nutrition treatment for 1 year for you, free of charge. And when you guys are ready, how does a second honeymoon sound? So our friends at Crucon Cruise Outlet, they're going to offer the two of you a balcony cabin on a 7-night Caribbean cruise, round trip from New Orleans on the Norwegian Pearl. You're going to visit tropical ports like Cozumel, Costa Maya, and Harvest Caye in Belize. So we really hope the two of you can get back to enjoying life and
enjoying each other.
Yes, thank you so much. Keep us posted. We really appreciate you joining us. And Dr. Dev, keep up the great work. We'll be right back.